Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Today, we're talking about Nintendo finally doing something really right for Nintendo Switch Online. A new Zelda-type game just got announced for the system, and massive leaks and major delays for Nintendo Switch in 2022 that we have to dive really deep into. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hope you're all doing amazing out there. I love doing this show with you. Notice anything different? I finally found somebody to trust with my luscious locks, and they have reblonded me for the first time in like 5 months, 4.5 months, something like that. Anyways, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoy the show. We got a lot to discuss. I want to get right into it, and let me know your take on today's topics in the comments down below. Who needs Breath of the Wild 2? Well, actually, we all need Breath of the Wild 2, and I am praying that this game does come out at some point in 2022, but we do have another interesting contender in the Zelda realm. This one on the 2D side, but man, Ocean's Heart is looking really darn nifty. The game drops on February 10th for $15, and it looks to be like a modern indie take on an OG Zelda formula. And it has really good reviews over on Steam, very positive. The game came out in January of last year on the PC, got a 79% on Metacritic, and I'm looking forward to it. A lot of interesting surprise announcements have been hitting the eShop as of late, and this one, playing as Tilia, a young girl whose father has been kidnapped by the ruthless pirate Blackbeard. So you got some pirate vibes, reversal of roles, and all sorts of items, weapons, increasing your skills, boss battles, puzzles, exploration, and more. I think this is one to look out for, and I'm excited to see if it can live up to some of the other 2D Zelda type games on the system. Let me know in the comments down below if you're interested in Ocean's Heart based on this new trailer. Like a bright beam of light from the heavens above, Nintendo did something right for Nintendo Switch Online. I don't know how they managed to make something so smart happen, but here we are after debacle and brain-burning decision after brain-burning decision. We now know that Nintendo is really trying to do kind of what I've been talking about and get into the free game of the month space. Well, for them, it's like free game of the week and then we're gonna snatch it back. But hey, their next free trial for Switch Online has been announced, and it's actually a first-party game. Now, in the past, they've done Don't Starve and old Jackbox Party Packs. They've done Among Us. They've done Story of Seasons. They've done Golf Story. They've done games that are good, but indie, and can be had usually for very cheap. Today, though, begins the trial for Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which is a really awesome game. And the best part is you get the full game for a week. You can beat Captain Toad in a week. It is a sub 8-hour adventure, and one that is really worth having. And it does have new content. The Switch version incorporates Mario Odyssey levels into Toad's little bite-sized world, but these bites, they're really good bites. It's like when you get the last bite of cake and you're like, oh, thank goodness my brother did not snatch that before I saw it. Toad Treasure Tracker is unique. It's very interesting. It almost feels like a smaller project compared to what Nintendo normally accomplishes. But the fact that you get to play the game for free and could go ahead and beat it this week is pretty phenomenal. It's on sale currently for $27.99, which is a nice price, but look, you get the best price, totally free. Download this thing. It's available from the 13th until the 20th for Nintendo Switch Online members. Don't have to be expansion pack, just NSO. And this is the type of thing I want to see the Big N do more often. Drop us some fan favorite first party games for your free game trials. It's not as good as Game Pass or like games with gold, but it's getting closer. And I'm telling you, if Nintendo does this, a lot of value will be added to Switch Online. Because as much as we want to play free Among Us, which is like a $5 game, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a lot better. Let me know if you're gonna download this one in the comments down below. And hey, even if you played it back on the Wii U, the new content in the freebie might make it worth another look. Settle in, because this is about to get serious. All right, this is a really, really juicy list of a ton of interesting leaks about Nintendo Switch and its lineup in 2022. This comes from the illustrious leaker, Nate Drake. We've covered him for years on the channel, and I think he is keyed in much more than most. Now, he released a new podcast today where he detailed what he believes will be Nintendo's plans for 2022. And I gotta say, there are some really exciting high marks and some really sad stuff. What do you want? You want the good stuff or the bad stuff first? Let's get the bad out of the way, okay? Nate Drake thinks and has heard that Mario plus Rabbids is getting booted to 2023. Sparks of Hope is looking not so hopeful for this calendar year because they have been hit by the same thing that's hit so many development studios across the globe. They're not going to be able to make this year, according to what he thinks. He says it could squeeze into the end of the year, but it's much more likely looking like a 2023 title, which I think is a pretty major delay because this was shown off last E3 and looked to be a really nice boost from the original Mario + Rabbids, which was already a fantastically fun game on Switch. Came out year one, and bringing back 2017 Part 2 in 2022, it was the perfect match. Now, it could still come out, but it sounds like it is not going to release this calendar year. Let me know in the comments down below if you're bummed. Okay, and make sure to also let me know in the comments down below what of the next things you're most excited for, because it gets very good from here. And I'm gonna start with a banger, which is there's a Fire Emblem game coming in 2022. That remake everyone's heard a lot about, it's been rumored for years now. Oh wait, it's not that one. It's actually a new game in the Three Houses style from the same team, and it's coming this year, apparently bolstering the visuals, bringing in new mechanics, and just building on what was already one of the best RPGs on the system and one of the best Fire Emblem games of all time. This franchise has vaulted itself to a much higher standing for Nintendo after the awesome performance of Three Houses, and it sounds like this game is coming out in the summer and is gonna be brand spanking new. Yes, they're still working on Genealogy of the Holy War remake, but a new Fire Emblem in 2022 further helps cement this year as just freaking incredible. Painful as all heck for the wallets, but freaking incredible for our eyes and our hands on that Switch system. It doesn't stop there though, because Nate Drake also talks more about Metroid Prime HD. This is the remake not of the trilogy, but of the first game that we've heard about as of late. And knowing that Metroid Prime is celebrating its 20th anniversary on November 12th of this year, makes a lot of sense that Nintendo would want to put that one out in the second half, which is where Nate Drake places it. Now, I'm very eager to see how Nintendo handles a remake of a game from 20 years ago. You can't just do a graphical pass and release this thing for full price on Switch. It won't work that way. I'm hoping that they have revitalized the graphics in a really large way, and that they've also made upgrades to the gameplay to make it feel more modern and give us a look at what we're gonna expect from Metroid Prime 4. If they can do some of the Metroid Prime 4 things in Metroid Prime HD, that would be really nice. At least ways that Samus is gonna move, and maybe some updates to controls, and maybe even some updates to the world and gameplay itself. There's nothing off the table when it comes to a remake from this long ago. It's not porting a Wii U game, it's bringing something from 2 decades. And I'm excited to see how this one turns out, and it's just another boon for Samus fans as the Metroid franchise also shoots forward on Switch. Fun don't stop, because Nate Drake says Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was intended to hit in 2021, but saw a silent delay till 2022. He does say it could come out in 2023 because it seems like they're really trying to push the hardware with this one. Previously, we heard that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 would be putting a ton of characters on screen and be the most graphically intense game by far. And according to Nate Drake, they are working on the tech side of things. The game is targeting a late 2022 launch, but could come out in 2023 if it runs into some hiccups. Now, I'm not a massive Xenoblade fan, but you gotta remember that adding Fire Emblem, brand new version, and adding Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to a lineup that already includes Kirby, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Splatoon 3, Bayonetta 3, and much more is really darn meaty. There's a lot to chomp on this year, and so it makes sense that Donkey Kong might not make it. Nate Drake says that there is a DK game in development. He still personally is unsure if it's 2D or 3D. We've heard back and forth, although leaning more on the 2D side. But he says that he don't think it is going to happen in 2022. He doesn't think they're even going to show it in 2022 because it's not happening until closer to the park expansion over at Universal Studios Tokyo, where Super Nintendo World is getting a DK land in late 2023. He thinks next year will be the year for DK, and that bums me out. I'm slowly beating the bongos, waiting for my simian superstar to reappear. But have no fear, because another main man is making his way down the red carpet to Switch once again. Nate Drake firmly believes that a big new Mario game is headed our way this holiday season. All right, it lines up with the new movie dropping in December, and he feels Nintendo is readying their new 3D Mario game for late 2022 to match up with the movie. And his logic makes a lot of sense. He says you have to have something to sell alongside that movie. It's the perfect opportunity to push a Mario game. And we know they've used, Mario Tennis and Mario Golf, and we know that they've used all their ports of Mario from past systems. They've used Mario Maker and Paper Mario, so it seems like it's time for a new 3D adventure. They could go 2D, and Nate Drake actually mentions this, but he believes they will go 3D to make a bigger move alongside the movie. Could it be Odyssey 2? Could it be something new? A hybrid between Bowser's Fury and what we saw out of Odyssey? Either way, I think this game is going to be insanely good, and I'm hoping it's the big reveal at E3 is a brand new Mario. He also mentions that Fire Emblem, the game we talked about a bit ago, should show up at the Soon Direct. He doesn't officially say it's happening in February, although that's when most people believe it will occur, but the first year Direct is where he believes we will see Fire Emblem, and they'll announce a summer release date probably around July. So this is so darn good, right? A year that includes Pokemon, Splatoon, Kirby, Bayonetta, a new Mario, a new Fire Emblem, a new Metroid sorta kinda, but it's leading the way to Metroid Prime 4. This sounds awesome. What game haven't I talked about? Breath of the Wild 2. Nate Drake is 50-50 on whether or not Breath of the Wild 2 will hit this year. And I've been hearing more and more pessimism about the game releasing this calendar year, which to me is odd, because Nintendo did show the game back in 2019, and they showed a lot of the game last year. Well, a lot for Zelda standards. They showed some good gameplay and said that 2022 would be the year. It sounds like it was already delayed from 2021 to 2022, but this is a big game that Nintendo is investing tons of resources on, and there's a lot riding on this one. It is the next release after the biggest selling Zelda of all time, one of the most pride-filled franchises Nintendo obviously has in their arsenal, and they want to make sure it is polished as all heck. Could it slip to 2023? Well, it sounds like a lot of that will have to do with the progression of other titles as well, because Nate Drake talks about another Pokemon game, in fact, a sequel in the Let's Go series of titles that could pop up at the end of the year. And he kind of goes back and forth on whether we'll get Pokemon Let's Go 2, probably a Johto version, or Breath of the Wild 2 as sort of the big other holiday game to go alongside 3D Mario. Now, in today's climate, with all the delays and the pandemic problems, anything could happen. So it sounds like there's some moving pieces towards the end of the year between Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Breath of the Wild 2, 3D Mario, and this newly mentioned Pokemon Let's Go 2. And some of them will slot in, and some of them will probably shift to the March slot in 2023. Now, I personally am fingers freaking crossed so tight my knuckles might break that Zelda does make this year. I need that game. We've been waiting for that one, and it's the most tentpole of all titles. Nate Drake doesn't believe that Mario Kart will make it this year, but a lineup where we could get Pokemon Legends, Splatoon, Bayonetta, Metroid, Fire Emblem, Kirby, Mario 3D, and Zelda would firmly cement this as the greatest Nintendo year. I really believe that. I think if they're able to deliver this sequel to Breath of the Wild 2, this sequel to Mario Odyssey, this sequel to Three Houses, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Kirby, and the Forgotten Land, the sequel to Splatoon 2, the sequel to Bayonetta 2, Metroid Prime is back. They've never beaten that. That's insanely incredible, and I get goosebumps thinking about how much fun we will have together. I really hope Zelda hits it, but like I said, Nate the Drake is 50-50. It seems like it could go either way, and we'll really know based on what Nintendo announces for Zelda this year. If you see Twilight Princess and Wind Waker pop up, well, that's not the greatest sign unless it's coming out in the summer. So this first Direct is going to have a lot of sort of implications for the rest of the year. If we get announcements of Zelda, that will help us know where Nintendo kind of feels they stand with Zelda. If we get announcements of Mario, that'll help us know where Nintendo feels they stand with Mario. I'm really excited for this Direct, and I cannot wait to get it. I mean, we're a couple weeks from Pokemon, about a month probably from a Direct. Things are building. And then Kirby's out in 2, freaking crazy. Back on the third-party front, we talked about Mario plus Rabbids, which is kind of like first third-party, right? It's Ubisoft, but it's Nintendo. That delay is a bummer, but he does say that it sounds like we're gonna get Persona 4 Golden on Nintendo Switch this year. Not Persona 5, always a little bit behind with that franchise, but hey, that would be a really fun pickup. I know a lot of Persona fans have been pushing the titles already on Switch, the different offshoots, and it'd be great to get actual mainline Persona, kind of a new one, maybe not so new, but Persona 4 Golden, he thinks will hit Switch. And then Resident Evil Outrage apparently is a multiplayer game that's been canned, and it's actually Resident Evil Revelations 3 that is going to rear its head on Switch. He's not sure when it's going to come out. He hasn't been able to get a lot of details, but I am down for anything Resi on Switch, especially with Capcom's recent track record. They have killed it. They have crushed it, and I want them to continue. Doesn't sound like there's any huge tentpole title to sort of lead the way for third party in 2022, but they do say there'll be a number of games that are ported. And now I have a new most wanted game to be ported to Switch. It's a surprise, all right? Oh, he also says that the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters will come to Switch in 2022. That was a really weird rollout where they released them on PC, but not other platforms anyways. If you got that OG nostalgia, those will be there for you. But that is a very juicy list, and the lineup is just supreme across the board. The first half being one that includes Pokemon Legends, Splatoon, Kirby, Triangle Strategy, and basically maybe kind of Fire Emblem newbie version. Well, not for newbies, but like a new one. That would be really, really exciting and awesome. And then a second half that chronicles Metroid Prime HD, Bayonetta 3, Zelda Mario Xenoblade. That's sounding spiffy. There's also a game that nobody wants apparently coming, but we'll talk about that another day. Until that time though, everybody, let me know what of these you want most, because this year, there's so much to squeeze out of it, and I think our Switches are gonna be bathing in absolute cartridge bliss for the entirety of this year, barring serious delays, which, fingers crossed, we don't see too much of, outside of the poor old rabbits. Now, as your regional manager, this show wouldn't be a show without the poll that wraps up every episode. I post them on the evenings in the community tab. That's on YouTube. You gotta subscribe, turn that notification bell on, and be a part of the conversation. I want you in the conference room when we're talking about how excited are you now for Kirby and the Forgotten Land on Nintendo Switch, all right? This was a lot of enthusiasm. 34%, myself included, said incredibly excited because this game looks like Super Mario 3D World, Kirby replacing Mario. Love it, love it, love it. 29% said moderately excited, 17% said a little excited, and 20% said you're not amused by the pink puff. I ask you to reconsider, but I also understand the game won't be for everyone, and I do feel there is going to be a difficulty curve that is pretty shallow. I'm hoping that they surprise us and that there are ways to enhance the game experience via collectibles, kind of like how Mario 3D World was pretty straightforward but made more difficult by collecting all of the tough to nab green coins. I hope they have something of that sort in Kirby in the Forgotten Land. But anyways, a lot of enthusiasm for a game that's out in 2 months. We love when Nintendo does this. It reminds me of Paper Mario when they were like, boom, Origami King, out in 2 months. Kirby, love to see it. Love the soon release date. Love you a lot. Hope you're all having an awesome day. Make sure you're staying safe, staying healthy, staying happy, staying positive out there. I appreciate you being a part of our family, a part of our friendship, and I love you a lot. Until next time, everybody, hit that like button on your way out. Thanks again for watching. SwitchForce, out.